As China's pressure grows across the region, the Philippines is making a bold strategic move by strengthening ties with Taiwan and key defense partners. With tensions rising in the Taiwan Strait and the West Philippine Sea, Manila is preparing for a future that could reshape regional security and power dynamics. The Philippines is entering a new chapter in its foreign and security policy as tensions continue to rise across the Indo-Pacific region. While Manila has long maintained a careful balance between its relationships with major powers, recent developments suggest that the country is becoming more active in building partnerships aimed at strengthening regional security and deterrence. This shift was highlighted during the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore, one of Asia's most important security forums, where defense leaders from around the world gathered to discuss the future of regional stability. At the center of the discussion was Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr., who outlined Manila's evolving approach toward regional cooperation, including growing engagement with Taiwan and deeper defense ties with countries that share concerns about security challenges in the region. His remarks come at a time when the Philippines continues to face increasing pressure in the West Philippine Sea, while also preparing for the possibility that any future crisis involving Taiwan could directly affect Philippine territory, citizens, and national interests. For decades, the Philippines has officially adhered to the One China policy, recognizing Beijing as the sole legal government of China while maintaining unofficial economic and cultural relations with Taiwan. That policy remains unchanged today. However, Philippine officials are increasingly acknowledging that Taiwan's proximity to the Philippines makes closer cooperation in certain areas both practical and necessary. Speaking at the Security Forum, Teodoro emphasized that the Philippines intends to maintain its One China policy while simultaneously developing stronger ties with Taiwan in areas that do not involve diplomatic recognition. According to the Defense Secretary, Manila sees significant opportunities for cooperation in fields such as trade, technology, economic development, disaster response, and humanitarian. In planning, these areas may appear civilian in nature, but Philippine officials increasingly believe they also carry important implications for national security. One major reason is geography. Taiwan lies only a short distance from the northern Philippines. In fact, some Philippine islands are closer to Taiwan than they are to parts of the Philippine capital region. Because of this proximity, any instability in the Taiwan Strait would almost certainly affect the Philippines. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has already warned that the country would inevitably become involved in some way if conflict were to break out near Taiwan. The concern is not only about military operations, there are also major humanitarian and economic considerations. An estimated 200,000 Filipinos currently live and work in Taiwan. They are employed in sectors ranging from manufacturing and technology to healthcare and domestic services. Many send money home to support their families in the Philippines. If a crisis were to occur, ensuring their safety would immediately become a national priority. Philippine authorities would likely face a large-scale evacuation challenge, unlike anything seen in recent years. This reality has led government officials to begin discussing contingency plans. Teodoro indicated that the Philippines would be willing to provide humanitarian assistance and temporary shelter to civilians if needed during a future emergency. He noted that there is broad support for humanitarian efforts and safe havens should innocent civilians require protection. Such statements reflect how seriously Philippine officials are now considering scenarios that were once viewed as distant possibilities. The growing attention to Taiwan also comes amid continuing tensions between the Philippines and China in the West Philippine Sea. Over the past several years, confrontations between Philippine and Chinese vessels have become increasingly common. Incidents involving Coast Guard ships, fishing boats, and maritime patrol missions have repeatedly generated headlines. The Philippines has accused China of aggressive actions in areas that fall within the country's exclusive economic zone. China, meanwhile, continues to assert sweeping claims over large portions of the South China Sea and insists that its activities are lawful. The disagreements have become one of the most significant security challenges facing the Marcos administration. As a result, Manila has accelerated efforts to strengthen its defense capabilities and build closer partnerships with like-minded countries. Under President Marcos, military cooperation with the United States has expanded significantly. Joint military exercises have become larger and more sophisticated than ever before. Recent drills have included operations involving air defense, maritime security, cyber warfare, and coordinated responses to potential regional threats. Some exercises have even taken place in northern Philippine provinces located relatively close to Taiwan. These activities are designed to improve readiness and interoperability between allied forces. Philippine officials insist that such exercises are defensive in nature and aimed at maintaining peace through deterrence. The belief is simple: the stronger the deterrence, the lower the likelihood of conflict. This principle has increasingly guided Philippine security planning. At the Shangri-La Dialogue, Teodoro explained that the Philippines is not seeking to form a rigid military bloc. Instead, Manila is working to strengthen cooperation among countries that share similar concerns about regional stability. The Defense Secretary described this effort as a convergence of interests rather than the creation of a new alliance structure. Countries such as Japan, Vietnam, Australia, and the United States have all become increasingly important partners for the Philippines. Each relationship serves a unique purpose, but together they contribute to a broader strategy of enhancing regional security. Japan, in particular, has emerged as one of Manila's closest defense partners. In recent years, Tokyo and Manila have significantly expanded security cooperation. The two countries have increased military exchanges, maritime training programs, intelligence sharing discussions, and defense technology cooperation. Japan has also provided equipment and assistance designed to strengthen Philippine maritime awareness and coastal defense capabilities. These efforts reflect growing concerns shared by both countries regarding freedom of navigation and regional stability. Vietnam is another country with which the Philippines has strengthened relations. Although both nations have overlapping claims in parts of the South China Sea, they have increasingly focused on cooperation rather than competition. Officials from both sides recognize that maintaining stability in the region requires practical dialogue and coordination. This growing partnership illustrates how Southeast Asian nations are adapting to an increasingly complex security environment. Australia has likewise expanded its military cooperation with the Philippines. Joint exercises, defense exchanges, and strategic dialogues have become more frequent. Canadians, New Zealanders, and European partners have also shown increasing interest in supporting regional security initiatives. Together, these developments point to a larger trend. Across the Indo-Pacific, countries are creating networks of cooperation designed to strengthen resilience against potential threats. Rather than relying solely on one alliance or one security arrangement, nations are building multiple partnerships that can support one another during times of crisis. For the Philippines, this strategy provides flexibility while also increasing deterrence. It allows Manila to maintain strong bilateral relationships while contributing to broader regional stability. The concept of deterrence was a recurring theme during discussions in Singapore. Defense officials from various countries argued that maintaining peace requires credible capabilities and strong partnerships. The goal is not confrontation. The goal is preventing conflict before it begins. Philippine officials appear to share that view. They repeatedly emphasize that military modernization and security cooperation are intended to preserve peace rather than provoke tensions. At the same time, the Philippines continues to pursue diplomatic engagement with China. Despite ongoing maritime disputes, Manila has consistently stated that it seeks peaceful dialogue and constructive relations with Beijing. Economic ties between the two countries remain important. Trade, investment, and tourism continue to play significant roles in the bilateral relationship. However, Philippine leaders have also made it clear that diplomacy must be supported by the ability to defend national interests. This balancing act has become one of the defining characteristics of Philippine foreign policy under President Marcos. The administration seeks productive relations with all major powers while ensuring that Philippine sovereignty and security remain protected. Achieving that balance is not easy. The geopolitical environment in Asia is becoming increasingly complicated. Military modernization programs are accelerating across the region. Competition between major powers continues to intensify. Maritime disputes remain unresolved. New technologies are transforming warfare and national security planning. Cyber threats are becoming more sophisticated. Economic security is increasingly linked to strategic competition. All of these factors influence how countries make decisions about defense and foreign policy. For the Philippines, the challenge is particularly significant because of its strategic location. Situated between the South China Sea and the Pacific Ocean, the country occupies one of the most important geographic positions in the Indo-Pacific. Its location make it a critical player in regional security discussions. It also means that developments elsewhere can have direct consequences for Philippine interests. That reality is one reason why Manila is paying closer attention to Taiwan. Officials increasingly recognize that events in the Taiwan Strait could affect trade routes, economic stability, migration patterns, and regional security. The Philippines cannot afford to ignore such risks. As a result, policymakers are exploring ways to strengthen cooperation with Taiwan in areas that support resilience and preparedness. One area receiving particular attention is economic cooperation. Taiwan is a global leader in semiconductor manufacturing and advanced technology production. Many industries around the world depend on Taiwanese technology and supply chains. Any disruption affecting Taiwan would likely have major consequences for global markets. Philippine officials believe that stronger economic connections can contribute to both prosperity and security. The emerging concept of a Taiwan-Philippines economic corridor reflects this thinking. While primarily focused on trade and investment, it also supports broader efforts to build resilience against future disruptions. Economic security and national security are increasingly viewed as interconnected. This perspective is shaping policy decisions not only in the Philippines, but throughout the region. As governments confront new challenges, they are recognizing that supply chains, technology, infrastructure, and economic partnerships all play important roles in national defense. The Philippines appears determined to adapt to these realities. Military modernization continues. Defense partnerships are expanding. Regional cooperation is growing. At the same time, Manila remains committed to diplomacy and peaceful engagement. The objective is not to choose sides in a geopolitical contest. Rather, it is to ensure that the Philippines is prepared for an uncertain future. As regional tensions continue to evolve, Philippine leaders believe preparation is essential. They argue that strong partnerships, capable armed forces, resilient economic systems, and effective diplomacy together provide the best foundation for national security. The discussions at the Shangri-La Dialogue offered a glimpse into how Manila views the challenges ahead. The message was clear. The Philippines intends to remain an active participant in shaping the future security environment of the Indo-Pacific. It will continue strengthening relationships with trusted partners. It will continue modernizing its defense capabilities. It will continue supporting regional stability and international law. And while it maintains its long-standing One China policy, it will also pursue practical cooperation with Taiwan in areas that serve Philippine interests and enhance national resilience. For Philippine leaders, these steps are not about preparing for war. They are about preventing it. In an increasingly uncertain world, Manila believes that stronger partnerships, credible deterrence, and strategic cooperation offer the best path toward peace, stability, and security for the Philippines and the broader region.